Hi everyone, Monique here with Little Gems Creations 1. Today we are going to be working on a Barbie sweater, but we're not just going to make one, we're going to make multiples all at the same time, and I'm going to show you how I do that. And we're going to start that in just a moment. Hi everyone, Monique here with Little Gems Creations 1. Today we are going to be making Barbie sweaters, but not just one at a time. I'm gonna show you how I make multiples. So you're gonna laugh about this. Look at my knitting needle. I think I knit too much or something, or else I just don't take very good care of my needles. So you are going to need some 3 3¾ millimeter needles. 3 3/4 millimeter needles. You're gonna need a pair of scissors. And you're gonna need some scrap yarn. And you are going to need a bag. Now, the reason behind the bag. I film in my craft room and then I go out in the living room and I'm sociable with my family, and then I come back and do the next part of my craft room. But while I'm doing that, I also do my steps. I try and get 10,000 steps a day, and the way I can do that is by putting my yarn in a bag, and then I carry the bag around with me while I walk. So I'm going to go with the bag and I'll give you a show. So this is my handy dandy crochet bag, and it's got a long strap so I can cross it over my shoulders. And what I've done is I've put Velcro in the middle so I can close up the middle, but my yarn can come freely out the sides, okay? So we're gonna put that on the side here. Now, we're using scraps of 4-ply worsted weight yarn. So we're gonna start with just one ball at a time. Okay, we'll start with this one. And we start by making a slip knot. This is how I do my cast on. If you have a different way to do a cast on, do your cast on. But this is how I do my cast on. So I cross my yarn. Okay, the tail is around the back. I hold the cross with my thumb. I put the yarn around my thumb and around the loop. And then I take that tail and I put it on this side. Okay, and then I pull tight, and that gives me a slip knot. Okay, so I put my slip knot on my knitting needle, and we are going to cast on 14 stitches. So I'll show you again how I cast on. So I go into the loop for the first one, yarn over, pull through, and I put it on the needle, okay? Now for my next one, I don't go in the loop, I go between the loops. Yarn over, pull through, put on. So that gives me 3. We're gonna want 14, okay? 4, 5. Anyway, cast on 14, and when you're done that, meet me back. Okay, we're back. I've got my 14 stitches. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Now I'm going to take that ball, I'm going to put it in my yarn bag, and I'm going to move those stitches right to the end. I don't want them to fall off, but right to the end, okay? Now I'm going to take my next ball of yarn. Okay. Again, I'm going to show you how I do my slip stitch. I cross it at the back. Hold the cross, go around my thumb and the loop, pull through, and that's how I get my slip knot. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to cast on my 14 stitches with this color. And this is all on the same needle. See, there's my stitches, and this is what I'm working on. Okay, so we do the first one, lasso 2, then we go between. So we're gonna do this for as many different colors of yarn as we want to put on one needle. Now remember, the more colors you're doing, the longer it's going to take, right? So if this is something you want to have done by the end of the day, then you might want to just try 2 or 3. If you want to, like I'm going to do 5 colors, and I'm expecting that to take me most of the day with interruptions and so on, right? So you're going to do that with every color yarn. If you're new to this, I would suggest 2 to start. As you get better, go 3, 4, 5, whatever, right? I think the most I've ever done was 7 or 8. But it gets really crazy when you go like that. So let's not go too crazy to start with. So as you get your yarn on there, just put your yarn in your yarn bag and then go to the next color. So do that for all the colors you want to do. And then meet me back. Okay, I'm back. I'm doing 5. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this looks really intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. Now, you just got to think about doing these one at a time, okay? Okay, so I did do this with the 5 different colors, but I did most of it out of frame. So I'm redoing this. This is an edit, and I'm only doing 2 colors on this needle, but I want you to see what I'm going to do, and I can't show you if I'm out of frame. So we are going to knit a stitch, and then bring your yarn forward, and we're going to purl a stitch. And we're going to do this, it's called ribbing, and it's a knit, purl, rib. So you knit a stitch, yarn for the front, purl a stitch. Yarn to the back, knit a stitch, yarn to the front, purl a stitch. Okay, so we're going to do this across all our colors, and we're going to do this for 3 rows. Okay, so since this is an edit video, because like I said, I totally went out of frame with the last one, you'll see I'm only working with 2 colors. But after the edit video, I'll go back to my 5 colors, and I think there's a couple more places I'm going to have to edit where I went out of frame. And it was just because I was using such long needles that I kept bringing them to the side. So I got across the one color here, I move it to the end, and I just work on the next one, and you always start on a knit. So it's knit 1 stitch, purl 1 stitch. And like I said, we're going to do this for 3 rows. Okay, so you do that and meet me back. All of my row. Whoa! And here's what I want to show you. Okay, so I'm doing 5, okay? So when we turned our work, we got a little twist in our yarn. So the main thing to remember is every time you twist in the opposite way that your yarn is twisted. So see, I have a twist like this. Can you see it right there? So next time I turn my needle, I turn it like this so that the twist goes away. See what I'm talking about? Okay, so that counted as 1 row. We're doing 3 rows of this ribbing stitch. So that's knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1 per stitch, okay? And you always start with your knit stitch. Okay, so do that for a total of 3 rows. We just finished 1, do 2 more and meet me back. Okay, so I've done my 3 rows of ribbing. So now what we're going to do, remember, just move those other ones out of the way. We'll work on 1 at a time. We're going to do stockinette stitch. Okay, so what that is you're going to do 1 full row of knit and then 1 full row of purl. Okay, so you need to do 5 rows of knit and 5 rows of purl. So you're going to do knit 1 row, purl 1 row, knit 1 row, purl 1 row, knit 1 row, purl 1 row. So because we're doing multiples, this is where I get a piece of scrap paper and I mark down my rows. So I know I need 10 rows total. So I'll put the numbers and I'll put knit, purl, because I get interrupted a lot in a day because I've got animals, I've got children, I've got a husband, I've got, life. So I just write it down on a piece of paper. So we're going to do a row of knit, purl, for a total of 10 rows, and then we're going to meet back, okay? So you're going to do 1 of knit, put that aside, and then the next row of knit, put that aside, another row of knit, put that aside, knit, knit, and then that counts as like 1 row for every one of these sweaters, right? So that's how I do that. Okay, so I don't know if I mentioned this, but at the end of the video, I'm going to give you guys a little surprise. Yeah. So wait up for the end and you'll get to hear what my surprise is. Yay, yay. Okay, so if you haven't had a chance, hit the like and subscribe, do your 10 rows, and meet me back. Okay, so I have done my 10 rows. So I knitted a row, and then I purled a row, and then I knit a row, and then I purled a row. And this is how I wrote it out for myself. So knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. Okay. Now, we are going to take a minute right here, and we are going to untangle our yarn because this is what's happened to mine. And that's even with me following my own advice. So you probably won't have such a rat's nest if you are only making 2 sweaters, but if you're making more than 2, take a moment and untangle your wine. Your wine? Untangle your yarn. I have not been drinking. Okay, do that. Untangle your yarn. Now that our yarn is all nicely untangled once again, we are going to go to the next step. Okay, so I like short sleeves on these sweaters. So I am now, just like we did in the beginning for casting on, going to cast on 5 stitches, okay? So I go in between the stitch. Okay, move my thumb, see where I am there? In between the stitches, yarn over, pull through, and add it on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, this is for a short sleeve sweater. If you want a long sleeve sweater, you would add on 10. Now, we're going to knit across this row because that's what we're doing to stay in pattern. Okay? We're going to knit across our new 5 stitches and the other stitches. And we're going to do the same to each one. So once we get to this one, we are going to add 5 stitches for a short sleeve, 10 for a long sleeve, and we're going to do that all the way down, okay? Act as if each one is an individual sweater, and we're doing knit for this, okay? Do that and meet me back. Okay, so this is another part of the edit video, like I said, because I went out of frame last time. So we've done this one side of the sleeve and we did our knit across. So now we're gonna do our other sleeve. And so staying in frame, I am going to cast on 5 stitches for the short sleeve. And remember, if you're doing the long sleeve, you will be doing 10 stitches. Okay, so 2, I go in between the stitches. 3, in between the stitches. 4, in between the stitches. And 5. Okay, now keeping my yarn at the front, I'm going to purl across the row. Okay, so as I've shown you, I like to keep my yarn like this so it keeps a constant tension. So I purl across the new stitches I made, and then I'll be purling across the 14 stitches for the body, and then I'll be doing the other 5 stitches for the other sleeve. Okay, and notice how nicely in frame I am. I can't believe I did that. No one wants to make the same video twice. But I know that this is something that I've been doing for years, and someone said, you know, I bet other people haven't thought of doing this like this, so I thought I'd share what I do. And in future videos, I'm gonna complete the outfit. So I don't like to just make the sweater. When I sell things on Etsy or at craft sales, I like to make it a full outfit. I have just sold the sweaters by themselves, but I prefer an outfit for Barbie. So I'll do some videos of different Barbie things. So there we go. We've got the one sweater. We're moving it to the end of the needle. Now these needles are much smaller. That's why I can get in frame so much easier. And then I'm just going to show you again how I cast on. So I go in between the stitches, yarn over, pull and add. Between the stitches, pull through, add. That's 2, 3, 4, 4. Between the stitches, yarn over, pull through, and add. That was our 5th. Now, keeping your yarn to the front, we're going to purl across the row. So you do that and meet me back. Here we go. This is what we've got. Now, I'm glad I didn't do more than 5 sweaters because look at how full my needle is, hey? It's pretty full. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to do 4 rows of stockinette stitch. So we're going to do 1 row of knit, 1 row of purl, 1 row of knit, 1 row of purl, okay, across all of them. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to do my knit and then put a check mark, and then I'm going to do my purl and put a check mark, then I'll, whoo, sorry guys, didn't mean to hit the camera. Then I'm going to do a knit and then I put a check mark, purl, do a check mark, and then we'll meet back, okay? Because then we'll start the neck. Look at that, it's starting to look so cute. Okay, so do that like I did. If you want, write it down just to keep you in check, because like it's almost lunchtime here and I have to take my son to work, and then I have to put the dog out and put in another load of laundry. And oh, and remember how I was saying I'm doing my steps? Well, looky here, I'm at 3,700 steps. So all that just from working on this, because I pretty much got up and started the video. So, okay, so 4 rows, stockinette stitch, knit a row, purl a row, meet me back. Okay, so I've done the 4 of the sleeves, okay? So now what we're going to do, we're going to just work on one at a time, okay? So we are going to knit 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are going to cast off 6. So we're going to knit another one and another one and take that first one and bring it over. Come on, work for me. There we go. Okay, so that's casting off 1. And we're casting off 6 total. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if we did this right, we should have 8 on this side, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 1 that we already did, which would give us a total of 9. So we're just going to knit to the end of our row. And that makes the opening for our head. Okay? So I'm going to show you again. Okay, so we knit to the end of our row. Okay, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to show you again with the next one. So, we're going to knit 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, now we're going to knit another one and another one. We're going to bring that stitch over top to cast off 1. And we're going to do it again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we did it right, we should have 8 on this side, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 1 over here that we already did, which equals 9. And we just go to the end of the row. Now you do this for all of yours and then meet me back. Now we're coming up to probably the most confusing part of this tutorial. Okay, so we are going to purl 9. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, we're at our opening, okay? I'm gonna turn my work and I'm gonna cast on, like we did before, the 6 that we casted off, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 and 6. Whoops. 6. Okay. Turn my work again and go back to purling. Okay. So we purl the rest of the row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we have made a neck hole and we have closed the neck hole. Okay, so let's do that again. So on my next one, I am going to purl 9. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That brings us to our opening. We're going to turn our work and we're going to cast on 6. 1, whoops, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, turning our work back, we are now going to finish the row with purl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and see, you've closed the neck hole. That's all we did there. Okay, so you keep doing that with all your, I have 3 more to do, but if you're doing 2, then you're done. If you're doing 3, you know, just finish it up. Meet me back. So we've done it. We got across, we've closed our neck openings. I'm doing 5, and if your yarn looks like this, then like me, you're going to need a moment to untangle your yarn, and it will save you heartache later. So let's take a moment, untangle yarn. Okay, so we've all untangled our yarn yet now. Now we're going to just do what we did before. So we're going to do 4 rows of stockinette stitch, okay? So knit a row, purl a row, knit a row, purl a row. And see, this is how I wrote it up on my scrap piece of paper. So what I'm going to do is now on every one that I did a check mark, I'm just going to cross my check mark, okay? So my check mark looks like that. I'm going to cross it once I've done it for the backwards part. So 4 rows, crossing off your check marks if you used paper, or if you have a really good memory, do it your way. Whatever works. 4 rows, and then we will bind off our sleeves, and then we'll do our 10 rows, and then we'll do our 3 of ribbing, and we'll sew up. So right now, all I want you to do is the knit and purl rows for 4 rows total. Are done, my 4 rows. Okay, so we added 5 to make the sleeve, so we are now gonna cast off 5. So we knit knit, take one over the top, so that's one cast off, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we go. And then you're just going to knit to the other end until your next one, and then you're going to do it again. So if you haven't had a chance yet, don't forget to like and subscribe. And at the end of the video, we're going to have a little surprise for you. Yep, we are. So you have to wait for it though. So we're going to get to the end of this row, and we are going to show you how to cast that off again. So we put that to the other end. Okay, so just to show you again, you're going to knit, and you knit another one, and then you bring that stitch over that one, and that's casting off 1. Knit, and then that one over here is 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're just going to knit to the other end. So do that for all your sweaters. If you only did 2, then you're done. But if you did more, pause the video here and finish up, catch up, you know, whatever you gotta do. Okay, and I did it again. I went out of frame really bad, so we're doing the edit video. So we're back to our 2 sweaters. So what we're going to do here is we're going to cast off on the purl side, and we're going to cast off 5 for the sleeve. If you did a long sleeve, of course, you'll cast off 10. So we knit 2, yarn over top of that stitch, okay? So yarn over, pull your loop, yarn over, that's 2 that we've cast off. And 3, and 4, and 5. Okay, and then just bring your yarn to the front, and you're purling the rest of the stitches. And what you do to one, you do to all the others. Okay, so do that and meet me back. Whoa! So I have got the sleeves to where they need to be. They're both cast off. And now we are going to do our 10 rows of stockinette stitch, okay? So we're starting with a knit. We're going to do a knit a row, purl a row, knit a row, purl a row. We're going to do our check marks so that we've counted it. And then we'll be back to the ribbing. And yeah, so do your 10 rows and meet me back. The home stretch. So I've done my 10 rows. So now we're going to do our 3 rows of ribbing, which is knit 1 stitch, purl 1 stitch. And we're going to do that all the way across. So knit 1 stitch, and then bring your yarn forward, purl 1 stitch, yarn back, knit one, yarn forward, purl one. We're going to do that for 3 rows, and then we'll meet back. Okie dokie. Okay, so I did my 3 rows of ribbing stitch, which is a knit a stitch, purl a stitch all the way across. Now I'm going to cast off. Now even though we're on the purl side, I'm going to cast off and knit because I just prefer to cast off and knit. If you're good at casting off, well, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm going to cast off and knit. Okay, so you knit 2 and then over the last. And you knit it and over the one you just knit. And you knit it and over the one you just knit. See how much faster I am in knit to cast off than I am in purl? This is crazy, right? I'm actually much faster at crocheting. Knitting, I was taught later in life. I was crocheting since I was 3 years old, but I've been knitting probably since I was 12, maybe 10 or 12, much later in life. And it's just, I find that my hands cramp when I knit. I think I hold my knitting needles too tight. You know how it goes. Okay, so my first one is cast off completely. I want to leave a nice long tail. So, because we're going to use it to sew up. So a nice long tail, pull it through the loop and pull tight. And there we go. Now cast off all the other ones and then we'll meet back. I'll show you how to sew it up. And then I'll show you how to put it on the Barbie. Yes. Look at that. Isn't that just so cute? Oh, I love it. Okay. So cast off all the others. Meet me back. Okay. So I've cast off all of them. And I did 5. So we'll pick one and work on it. You need your darning needle. Okay. Now, so this is considered the right side, okay? So we're going to put right sides together. We're going to grab that long tail, thread our needle. There we go. Thread our needle. And we are going to whip stitch this together. Okay, so a whip stitch is you go in from one side over and over again. Okay, and I'm going to put 2 at the very beginning because that'll get the most tugging. And then I'm just going to whip stitch up the side and do that sleeve. Okay. Here we go. We're just going to do that all the way up the side. You want to do it fairly close together. Okay, and you want to make sure the edges aren't curled. Sometimes with knitting they curl, especially the stocking stitch. Okay. I'm going to go all the way to the end of the sleeve, and once again I'm going to put 2 stitches at that sleeve because that's where it's going to get lots of tugging. And then I'm going to work my way back. See how I'm kind of putting my finger in there so that it's sewing is not sewing really tight. It's keeping the sleeve round. I'm not catching anything. I'm just going through the stitches. Okay, and here I'm going to put a knot. So I just do my stitch like I do. And then when I get my loop here, I'm going to go through the loop once and through the loop twice. I'm going to pull that tight. And you never cut where you knot. If you've watched any of my other tutorials, you know it's something I always go on about. So I'm going to give a few more stitches. And one more for good measure. And then I will cut. I'm going to go to the other side here. And we're going to leave a bit of a tail. Okay, to sew in. 2 stitches at the beginning. Okay, and make sure the stitches are going on the side, not on the bottom. And we're just going to sew up this side seam. There we go. And this is called a whip stitch. If you want to do it in a different way, you go right ahead. This is how I do it. Okay, right to that sleeve edge. Make sure you're catching both sides. And then a double stitch at the end. And then we're going to work back over our stitches, back to the underarm. And then we're going to do a loop. And then we're going to go through the loop once, twice, twice, and then we're going to pull tight. Never cut where you knot, so we'll do a few more whip stitches. And then we'll snip. Now, if you have leftover yarn, which I have quite a bit leftover yarn, I would make accessories. So I am going to do a few more videos. I'll probably do maybe a Barbie purse or a Barbie bag and maybe a hat, maybe a scarf. But those are just some of the different accessories I would think to make with this. You don't have to. I just do that. I like to make little outfits. And then, of course, your child or niece or nephew or grandchild can mix and match as they want. It's just fun to do, right? I loved playing Barbies. I really enjoyed my Barbies. And I always was making clothes for them. Always. I had some of the weirdest but neatest clothes. So we're going to hide that thread. We're going to turn it inside in. Now we're going to have a little Barbie fashion show. I'm going to show you how to put it on Barbie, okay? And the reason I do this is because some people are like, well, it doesn't fit. Well, it fits. You just got to know how to put it on. So I'm going to put my needle away and grab Barbie. I'll be right back. Okay, here's Barbie. Now, you're going to put Barbie's hands up. And the sweater goes on over her head. And watch those thumbs. Those thumbs like to catch yarn. Okay, so over her head. Watch the thumbs. Okay. And now, oops, there's that thumb. I warned ya. And then we are going to pull this over her head. She's got earrings on, so you don't want to get caught on her earrings. And there we go. Barbie is wearing her pretty new sweater. Isn't she cute? So if you want, you can put little beads as buttons, or you could use small shirt buttons. You could put a patch if you wanted to do a patch. And there you go. Barbie's got a sweater. And if you're like me, you made 5. Okay, so you want to know about the surprise. First, you gotta like, comment, and subscribe. But my surprise is, in the description of this video, I'm putting a coupon for my Etsy store. So anything you want to buy, like I make pretty things like this ring. I do all kinds of beadwork, wire work, knitting, crocheting, quilting, sewing. You go check out my Etsy store and you get 10% off your next purchase using that coupon. So look for it. Have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye now.